Hello ladies and gentlemen, Stephen here from the channel Redolescence, and thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you all are well. And in today's episode, we're going to be taking a closer look at 4 brand new fragrances by the company Areej Le Dore, so stay tuned. Before I begin, I do want to mention that 4 of these samples were sent to me for review. The company provided me with these samples, so a very special thank you goes to Areej Le Dore for making this happen. But also, this is my second video on the company Areej Le Dore, and in the first video, I get into a little bit more detail talking about the founder of the company, the perfumer, the brand, where they're from, their starting. So I'm going to leave the link to that video down below. So if you're interested in learning more about how they harvest some of their ingredients and how they, distill the essence of many of these ingredients that go into these fabulous perfumes, watch that video. And there's also a really cool article on Fragrantica that you could read as well. I'm going to leave the link to that down below too. So to start things off, the perfumer goes by the name Russian Adam, and he is of Russian descent, but he converted to Islam, and he made these 4 fragrances, and a lot of these have ingredients that have been macerating for years upon years upon years. And when I think of fragrances that are made with quality ingredients, one of the first brands that comes to my mind is Areej Le Dore. And a lot of these ingredients that are used in their fragrances are natural, even as far as some of the animal ingredients. So when you're talking about the musk, they do use legally obtained and legally sourced musk ingredients. So some of their fragrances are not going to be vegan friendly. I hate to say that, and I'm vegan, so I'm just coming clean here. But at the end of the day, it does smell incredible. But if that's your thing, then I just figured you should know. So to start things off, the first fragrance that we're going to be talking about is called Inverno Russo. And I have them all sprayed here, and first of all of these smell absolutely incredible. They're not for the faint of heart. They're incredibly potent, such a high concentration. They will linger on your skin for years. I'm being hyperbolic here. But let me go ahead and read the notes to you guys. And I can't read them all, but you have notes like rose, pepper, peach blossom, osmanthus, and the really cool thing, and I'm reading the notes, and it came to me, is that a lot of these ingredients are extracted by Russian Adam himself. So it's not like he goes out there and finds, the companies or the oil houses and, they send him the ingredients. He goes out there and he makes these ingredients himself, which I think is really cool. It has clove and cardamom and champaca, sandalwood, tonka bean. And this is one of the ones that has wild Siberian musk, but it has synthetic civet. It's animalic, but it's highly wearable too. You have the woods in here. There's this richness that just comes through. It's unlike anything you've ever smelled before. I mean, if you're just used to smelling designer fragrances and the common everyday sort of Sephora, Macy's scents, which are all great, and I own many of them, most of them, this is a nice change of pace though. However, if you're not into the more animalic fragrances, there are a few other fragrances from this offering that I would recommend to you first. But this comes across very loud, very potent, but it's also highly wearable. So despite the fact that it does contain some animalic notes, it's not, we're not going to reduce its identity to those notes. There's so much more going on in here. Wonderful, wonderful fragrance. And by the way, all of these can be found on areejledore.com. So if you are interested in checking them out, watching some videos, learning more about the company, links to their website is going to be down below as well. So this one is called Atlantic Ambergris. And a lot of us probably know that ambergris is, it's colloquially referred to as whale vomit, but it is. It's basically this dark, opaque, charcoal-colored matter that is found floating in the middle of the ocean, and it's harvested by sea farmers, and it can end up being pretty expensive. And this one is called Atlantic Ambergris, like I said, and it has notes of bergamot, cardamom, a touch of Russian pine, jasmine, sambac, white champaca, ylang-ylang, white Irish ambergris, so there's that note, tonka bean absolute, clove and nutmeg, violet leaf, orris root, sweet myrrh, oak moss, nargamotha, and labdanum. It's so fresh. It's so fresh. It has that aquatic element to it. but not like a Kalone, not aquatic in the sense of like your designers like Cool Water or Nautica Voyage or something like that. You have the freshness of the sea, but there's so much personality here. There's so many other elements that are really guiding the direction of the composition. It's such a unique scent. I'm looking at notes like the tonka bean and some of these potentially sweeter notes like the sweet myrrh and the labdanum. By sweet myrrh, I'm assuming a Papanax, and it's not really a sweet scent. It's definitely more on the aquatic side. It's very bright and airy, and this is probably the most wearable of the entire line. So if you're looking for something that you can pull off very easily, and this is really going to turn heads, my recommendation would be Atlantic Ambergris. I do want to mention, now that we're at the halfway point, that their fragrances came in this beautiful container here that was sent to me, and it's stitched on and it says Areej Le Dore, and on the inside you had all of these informational cards came in this gold pouch. It was really, really cool. So thank you for that. I think the attention to detail on this is just awesome. And the next fragrance is called Flux de Fleur, and this is floral, but again, it's animalic. This is incredible. What I think of when I smell this is all of the classic women's floral fragrances pre-reformulation. So when they still had oomph to them, when they still performed and they lasted and they were loud and they were bodacious and they just had so much energy and life about them before they were adulterated. This is so rich. Like, this will definitely appeal to the fans of vintage women's perfumes. But weirdly enough, there's a unisex quality about it too. But just know that this does lean a little bit on the feminine side, and it is characterized predominantly by floral ingredients. So, I mean, you have stuff like tuberose and jasmine, frangipani. You have Cambodian oud that's over 10 years old, and this is where I'm saying that oomph comes from. You have dark Sumatran oud soaked in coconut water, Indian amber, Shanama attar aged for more than 2 decades. That's crazy. Legally obtained wild Siberian deer musk, castoreum, blue lotus, honeysuckle, and henna infusion, vetiver, tolu balsam, and benzoin. So you have the richness, and it's multifaceted like I mentioned, and that's why you are going to get this progression, which for a lot of these, it really doesn't do it justice to smell that on the card. You do have to put it on skin, really just let it evaporate off your skin. And this, I'm telling you guys, it is so full of life, so vibrant. And that really just leaves us with one more. So sad to see it come to an end. And this one is called Oud Picante. And this is probably my favorite one of the bunch. It's not the most wearable. Again, Atlantic Ambergris is the most wearable. Oh, this stuff is awesome. If you're a fan of oud, you are going to love this fragrance. This is one that I would probably just have a hard time recommending to people, especially if they're just getting into fragrances, or even if they're just getting into niche fragrances, because this one is just so different, and it's so out there, and it's so charismatic and robust. But this has cumin, cardamom, cinnamon, clove, and nutmeg. So the top is predominantly characterized by spicy notes. And then in the heart, you have wild Borneo oud oil distilled by Russian Adam himself, carrot seeds, spikenard, tobacco, and coffee. And I think that's what I'm leaning towards, the tobacco and the coffee and all these other notes. Base notes of Apopanax, Bengal sandalwood, muhuhu, costus, fossil amber, and labdanum. So you have the uniqueness that is brought forth by the coffee. You have the tobacco that really adds that layer of maturity and sophistication to it. But then you also have the labdanum that really binds everything together, that base that really prolongs the longevity of the fragrance. It also adds this richness to the composition, because labdanum, while some people will go as far as calling it medicinal, it has a little bit of sweetness in its olfactory profile as well. And this is just phenomenal. I mean, truly, this is one of the best oud-based fragrances that I have ever smelled in my life. And that's really hard for me to say. And just to, put this out there, I'm not the biggest fan of oud. When I'm thinking of my favorite ingredients, oud is definitely not one of them. Especially because it's in a lot of fragrances, it's just overdone, or it's not done enough. It's really hard, seemingly, for people to find the right balance, but this one does it so well with all of these other ingredients, really giving it life and rounding it out. Awesome. So guys, there you have it. I wanted to keep it simple. Just 4 fragrances, brand new fragrances by the company Areej Le Dore. If you've had a chance to try any of these out, I would love to know what you think. Leave a comment down below. And also, which one of these would appeal to you the most? I'm interested to know. Hopefully in the future I can do a full review on one of these. So whatever you guys say down below is really going to influence my future videos. So I want to thank you guys for being a part of my channel. I want to thank you for watching my videos and helping guide the direction of this channel, where it goes. I really owe so much to you guys, and it really means a lot that you're tuning in and you're watching these videos. And I make these videos for you guys. At the end of the day, you know, it's very stressful. It takes a lot of time. It takes many hours. It takes a lot of money, especially when I'm going out there and purchasing from many of these, purchasing many of these fragrances myself. So at the end of the day, it's a godsend to have people like Russian Adam, who is willing to provide us with samples that we can use to, expand the archive here on YouTube and make more videos, bring information to the community, and just, educate one another on the beauty of perfume and the many facets of fragrance. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. I'm excited to put out more videos for you guys. Remember to subscribe, enable notifications by clicking on the bell, and we'll see you in the next episode. Take care.